Britain invaded Abyssinia in 1868 after Emperor Theodorus II took European hostages over a delayed letter to Queen Victoria. British Army units are facing battle over artifacts looted from Ethiopia in a growing reparations row. First and foremost, Ethiopia is the only country in Africa that was not conquered by anybody. Yes, Ethiopia is the only country in Africa that has the 13 calendar. Ethiopia is a historic place, endowed with a whole mass. In fact, Ethiopia is enriched with a certain history that every living Africa have to try to learn or understand or learn a bit about the history of Ethiopia. Yes. And it is not surprising that Britain looted a whole lot of artifacts out of Ethiopia. Famed regiments and corps defeated an Ethiopian emperor during an 1868 expedition and plundered his fortress capital of Magdala. Units including the Royal Engineers and Scots Dragon Guards kept looted mementos that are now stored in their regiment museums. However, the Ethiopian government is now planning to demand that British regiments return the treasures, plagued by victorious soldiers 170 years ago. The African nation will need to persuade unit veterans and serving officers who oversee museums dedicated to regimental history to hand back the items. So, on the fact table, if ICC is really representing everybody, why can't ICC ask these British regiments to return what belongs to Ethiopia? Why does Ethiopia have to stress themselves? You know, take a look at what is happening between Poland and Ukraine. After how many years they agreed to have exhumation, to open the graves of people, bring them out so their family and their loved ones can bury them in dignity. But when it comes to we Africans, they will ask you to forget the past. Because the West is doing everything possible to deduct our history. Because a people that don't know their history don't have an identity. A people that don't have an identity, they are lost. And thank God today for social media. Because social media is teaching a whole lot to the upcoming generations to understand the importance and the history of their ancestors. Even though the West is trying as much as possible as they can to demonize our ancestors, pretending as if their own ancestors are sent. Why some of them, their ancestors carried out some of the most inhuman evil that you can ever imagine. Some of them are still enjoying the profits and the proceeds of the evil and the wickedness their ancestors melted out to our own ancestors. So ICC, for once, do the needful by standing on the side of Ethiopia, that Britain returns every artifact that was looted in 1868. This is part and parcel of Ethiopia's heritage. Let these artifacts be returned to Ethiopia. It is part of who they are. It is part of their history. It is part of their identity. And it, on the part of Ethiopia, do whatsoever it takes under your authority to make sure that you reclaim that which originally belonged to you, that was looted out of your country in 1868. And at the end of the day, these same people are preaching democracy to Africa. Sometimes when I talk about this Western democracy they are trying to force down our throat, I say it with a smiling face, but it's not funny. Because even them are not practicing 100% democracy. The only place that 100% democracy has been practiced in the history of mankind is in Africa. Even though the West is trying to deny it, but it's very glaring for the people that knows history.